Welcome back. Facebook Live, YouTube, the wonderful people of the interwebs.
People driving.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, is your mic plugged in? I don't hear you.
Should be.
Can you guys hear Jay?
Technical difficulties. How about that?
Oh, boy. Jay's having technical difficulties already, boys and girls. Welcome to the show. We got a great guest in the house this evening doing awesome stuff for veterans and first responders. But first, before we get to that, go down in that lower left-hand corner. Smash that share button. Do it now. You can do it. It's all good. Share it up. Let's get some people in here. Drop in the comments where you're watching from, what you're floating out of, all that good stuff. We got Bradley John in the house. He says, "What's up, gents?"
What's up, Brad?
He says you're quiet.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, I hear you now. That's awesome. We got Jay. That's good.
No, it's all right.
We haven't had technical difficulties in a long time, so I guess we're allowed, right?
I suppose.
What about you? You good?
Not yet.
Oh, we got a special guest in the studio tonight. So we'll get him in here a little later. But let's get our guest of the hour in here, Mr. Eric Faulkner with Wisconsin Heroes Outdoors. Welcome, Eric. How you doing tonight, my friend?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely, brother. We're going to get into Eric's organization, what he does and everything, but they got a pretty cool video that we wanted to share with you folks, just to kind of, give you a good idea of what Wisconsin Heroes Outdoors is about. So we're going to watch that real quick, and then we're going to really dive in and talk to Eric about the organization itself.
There were definitely challenges transitioning from Army life, deployment life, to civilian life. Spending time in the great outdoors is just so rejuvenating for your body, for your mind, for your soul.
And we've got serenity. We've got sunshine and the breezes and some of those other things where, that doesn't come in the form of a medicine jar.
It helps get you back to nature. It helps you relax. If you have a lot of anxiety or PTSD, there's no off switch when you're in the military and you come from a deployment. If you're out in nature and see all the beauty, you feel a lot better.
What we're addressing here is more the spirit. It's amazing. There's no rush here, and it's just peaceful being here. For people that were at the VA that, again, understood and believed in our mission, when you can get a highly organized clinical setting like the VA to pair up with an organization like ours, then you have a recipe for success, which is proven very powerful.
Veterans are the best people to help other veterans. We get it.
When people are transitioning, they feel that no one understands them. But once they get around other veterans, it's like they've known them forever.
One of my favorite activities is talking. Sometimes you just want people just to listen and just say, hey, you know what? I've been there. I get it.
To share stories and just kind of heal together. All the awareness and all of the commercials and bringing attention to things like 22 veterans a day committing suicide, or just the mental strains of being a police officer or a firefighter isn't going to prevent somebody from taking their own life.
I've
lost friends. 22 a day, it's what we're trying to fight against.
But a personal relationship and helping foster that feeling of knowing that I'm not alone, or that if I don't show up to the next event, somebody's going to miss me. That is something that's really important in this era.
A lot of people, their battlefield isn't, it isn't just in the foreign country where they were fighting a war. They come home and they have a battlefield here too.
I don't think I ever transitioned out. The effects of that time stay with you forever. For me personally, I mean, it's an ongoing adjustment. Oh my God. Just being out here in the nature, how nice it looks and being calm out here. It takes the focus off of myself for me, despite whatever stresses I have going on. I mean, it's worked very well for me. It's really helped me a lot.
Pretty powerful stuff, my friend. Pretty powerful stuff. First and foremost, thank you for your service. We got to acknowledge that first and foremost, and want to thank some of our guys that had served as well. Bradley, which Brad, Eric. Shout out to Dan Perry, Dustin Nichols for their service as well. So, Eric, man, thank you so much for taking the time out tonight. So, why don't we start, man, where you guys, how you guys started this, and then we'll dive into more stuff. But why don't you give us a little background on Wisconsin Heroes Outdoors?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, thank you for having me on, and thank you to Brad for getting me connected to you guys. It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to talk a little bit about our organization and the things that we've done and things that we're doing in the future. But I've seen that video probably, 500 times in between helping, produce and edit it and being in it, and it still gets me emotional. It's just one of those things where, we appreciate the fact that there's organizations and podcasts like yours that are helping us share this, because, just the traditional methods of outreach aren't always going to reach the people that we need to the most at-risk veterans and first responders. So again, thank you. But just a little bit of history on, I guess, how we got started as an organization. I was going through treatment at the Milwaukee VA personally. And one of the social workers that was there had heard me talking about how, before I started isolating and before I started really hunkering down and not really wanting to talk about it anyway, I was talking about like how I enjoyed fishing and, going canoeing and things like that with my dad as a kid. And I had gotten away from that. And she ended up connecting me to a Vietnam Vietnam veteran Marine. And he sat down with me and he said, "Hey, listen, I know a couple of veterans who are getting together. And this is 2016. They're going to be going up to Crivets, Wisconsin. And for those of you who don't know where that is, it's, it's in northern-ish Wisconsin, and it's about 3 hours away from where I live here in Pewaukee." And he said they're going to be going up there kayak fishing in about mid-November. And I thought, okay, I've canoed and, fished out of a canoe before, but my idea of kayak fishing back in 2016 was like, I thought kayaks were just for going down, waterfalls and whitewater rafting and stuff like that. Like, I'm like, who the heck fishes out? Like, how do you get out of that bucket that you sit in? Where do you put your tackle and all that? So I had zero clue. But that conversation that I had with Dan, I'll never forget, because I was at the right place and the right time, and my headset was in a place where I just knew I needed to do something different. I had tried burying myself at the bottom of a bottle. I had tried avoiding family and friends, all that kind of stuff, and nothing was working. And I knew that I didn't want to give up And so I made the decision that I was going to give this Air Force vet that was running the thing a call and go meet those guys up there. Never met any of them. There was about 4 or 5 of them that were going, and got in my truck and drove up there. And honest to God, I had every intention of pulling in the driveway of the cabin that they were at, taking one look at them and just being like, well, I tried, and turning around and driving home. And and it almost happened, but luckily when I got out and Jason Bartle introduced himself to me, and Rob Johnson, the now co-founders of Wisconsin Hero Outdoors, it was just one of those things where it clicked. Ironically, they both had happened to be first responders as well. And, my time in the service got stunted because of some back injuries. But also working in law enforcement and as a firefighter and on dive team, that the fact that those guys were first responders too, they were federal, worked on the federal side of things, gave me that additional connectivity there. And we decided to plan out our fishing trip there for the next couple of days, and I just got to get to know those guys just sitting around the pellet stove inside the cabin. Luckily, we had good weather that particular weekend, but it was a big part of the healing process for me during that was just sitting around and that excitement of planning the trip and going through your tackle and checking your line. And there was this Marine that showed up. He had, I swear, over 50 pole, and we're going in kayaks. And so they told me what the kayak looked like. And so we all know those guys. Maybe some of us are those guys, but in any case, we just had a blast going through all of his stuff. I mean, he had a rod and a lure for everything on the planet. So it was kind of a hoot just looking through all that stuff. And mapping everything out. But so we got on the water the next day, and this is the first time I've ever been in a kayak, let alone a fishing kayak, a sit-a-top. And Rob was going through showing me everything, and I had brought a couple of my old poles, and didn't really know what to expect. But once I got on the water, something happened for me where Rob, I can remember exactly where they were on the lake. Rob was off to my right, and Jason was just around a point to the left of me, and I was by myself. I was like, I felt kind of like the captain of my own ship for the first time in a long time, but I knew those guys were on either side of me if I happened to need something. But I still felt like I had that kind of my space, my type of feeling. And it was this beautiful mid-November day. The leaves were changing. The bite wasn't great, but I remember just leaning back in that sit-a-top kayak and just for the first time in a long time being thankful and feeling connected to the world again, where I had felt very disconnected. And it was really one of those kind of aha moments that you hear about, and it almost brought me to tears, but I got a bite, and I was the only one that caught a fish that day. So excited about that. I got to rub that into the guys' face. They almost didn't want to go fishing with me again. But anyway, that neither here nor there. But it was that, that kind of leads me to the next thing, which was that, that sense of camaraderie. There's not a whole lot that needs to happen when you get around other veterans or other first responders if you don't know each other personally.
Sure.
That's why that camaraderie factor is really the secret sauce. And you don't always get that by just physically being around them, but when you're around other veterans or first responders and you're doing something that you love, I think that's where you get the lightning strike. And so we finished out the trip, and at the end of it, I told Jason and Rob, I said, this was incredible. Thank you. And, we got to get like other guys and gals doing this. Like if this I didn't want to be here, and, I'm here and now I'm loving it. I want to start looking at, buying my own kayak and how can we get more people connected to the outdoors? And we went back to the VA, each of us went back to our respective doctors at the VA, and they saw, a light switch for me for sure. And they also saw, I think, something different in Jason and Rob, and our families noticed something a little bit different, that, you know, we had a light of hope kind of at the end of the tunnel, I guess is the best way to say that. And, you know, we were starting to look at, you know, maybe doing some ice fishing that winter, but really taking a look at, you know, when the spring and the summer come around, how can we really get after it? And so we started just talking about how we can, you know, each purchase our own kayak, and then kind of look at rotating out and just having some people come along. We'll sit on the shore and cook food while other people go out. We didn't know what we were doing,
Sure.
but the docs at the VA, again, saw such a change in our attitudes that they actually started asking if they could refer some of their patients out to come out with us, you know, kind of off the site. You know, we couldn't contact them directly because of the privacy thing, but, you know, we gave them our information and said, kind of like what had happened to me, really informally. And we started having a few vets come out, and literally within, you know, a few months of spring and summer of 2017, we actually had the VA busing people out to,
Oh, wow.
we're going fishing, and people were donating kayaks and or, you know, giving us kayaks, because essentially we were just, you know, a club. We had been, you know, Jason and Rob and I had all worked and participated with other organizations, you know, veteran service type organizations, and you know, a lot of them had their niche that they were good at doing, but we really saw this as a kind of a full comprehensive thing. We wanted to be able to kayak fish. We wanted to go out and fish on a regular boat. We wanted to go ice fishing. We wanted to go hunting. We wanted to go snowshoeing, whatever the case might be. And so as we had this relationship start to form with the VA, which, you know, there's a lot of red tape that's involved with that. When you've got, we had two groups specifically that came out with us, or started coming out with us. The first was what they call the DOM, and that's the Inpatient Mental Health Rehabilitation Program. So these are veterans who, you know, are in a pretty rough spot, to the point where they've, you know, asked the VA for help, and they are required to stay at the VA and go through a very rigorous treatment program. And that typically involves, you know, a lot of mental health, substance abuse sometimes, and a whole array of things. And it doesn't always have to be necessarily combat related or directly related to your service, because the way things change in your mind and in your life, it affects kind of a domino effect on where your life can go. And so other tragedies can happen. But in any case, that was one of the groups that was getting brought out. And then also the HUD-VASH, which are veterans who are economically challenged, or are about to be in a situation that is going to put them on the streets, or, you know, they just don't know where rent's going to come from, or things like that. So, you know, the ability for them to have disposable income to go out and buy like a $2,500 kayak, you know, and the free time to go, you know, use it, or where to go, or all that kind of stuff. It's just not in the cards for them. So, so those two groups, we really, you know, for us, it was, you know, it was just an opportunity that, you know, we love being out there, you know, fishing with them and things like that. But all of a sudden, you know, for what I can speak for myself, what I found that I was missing was that ability to serve again. You know, after being injured in the military, and then after I was injured as a firefighter, I had a career-ending injury as a firefighter. You know, I felt like I had some of those opportunities to wear the uniform and serve, either, you know, for my country or for my community, taken away abruptly. And that's where I recognized that, man, there's a huge hole in my heart, and being able to give back to my brothers and sisters who are going through a tough time at the VA, because I had gone, you know, I'd been there, you know, and could relate. That really gave me a sense of pride and hope and excitement again. And I know that Jason and Rob felt the same way too. So, you know, as that feeling really started to grow exponentially, you know, Jason and Rob and I, we talked about, you know, where do we want this thing to go? Because, you know, we're all alpha male personalities, and, you know, it's bigger, better, faster, stronger all the time. But, you know, we all have families. You know, Jason and I were both at the time stay-at-home dads to young kids, and we didn't want to start something that was going to be just another organization that would take mom or dad or both away from their family while you're doing these outings. So we wanted to do something that was family centric, and there's going to be those moments where we're going to go hardcore and, midnight, out on the lake trolling for wallet, whatever, there's only going to be a certain breed that wants to do that. But for the main part, we wanted to do something that everybody could enjoy. I wanted to be able to bring my two young boys to events. Jason, he's got this really cool picture. I should have sent it to you guys, but he was on a feel free kayak, and he had one of those Coleman mini fold out chairs at the very front of it with his daughter. She was probably 6 years old at the time, fishing. It was so stable. She was fishing right off the front of it. Moments like that where we could still be, out fishing, really going for the big one, but still spending time with our families. So as that evolved, or as that conversation evolved, we knew that if we decided to start a 501c3, a nonprofit, go beyond just this club thing, because the more and more we had, veterans out from the hospital, from the VA, they were nice enough to, make sure that the liability and everything was covered because there were patients at the hospital. But as we had other veterans and first responders from the community, we just knew from our experience in our past careers that the law of large numbers is going to catch up to you at some point, and you're going to need some type of legal assistance, some type of insurance coverage, and all those things that you don't really want to think about when you're out,
Sure.
rigging your line, pulling a frog across lily pads. So we were honestly just like fighting against the idea of having to do all that administrative crap. And it was just the stars keep aligning in our story that I had met one of the insurance representatives who had donated money for us to literally just buy hot dogs and hamburgers to have at our events, because that's what we were only raising money for. I mean, we just needed food, because if the fishing was going to suck that day, we at least wanted to have everybody go home fed well.
Yeah.
As vets and first responders, that's we like to eat. But
Yeah.
So as this insurance rep and I were talking, we had coffee. I mentioned, listen, we want to get this 501c3 thing going, but we really don't want to have to deal with the burden of the administrative stuff. Is there anybody in the financial community that you can point us in the right direction to? And he actually connected me to the president of Waukesha County Community Foundation, Shelly Markart. And I went in and I sat down with her. I shared our mission and shared what we had been doing. And, at that time, looking at beginning of 2018, I said, this is where we want to go. This is what we want to do. We want to be out in the field. We want to be fishing. We want to be, with our brothers and sisters. We don't want to be tied down to the responsibilities that are going to come along with this. Because if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And if we can't do that, then we'll just stay, a club or whatever. And we just have to recognize that and do that. But Shelly was great. She helped us set up our endowment fund, so that way we could have individuals and groups, organizations actually send in financial donations and help us build up our war chest to really get this thing moving. And almost in parallel with that, once we had this massive $50 million foundation backing us, we didn't have access to all that money. We have our own little one that we had to start from scratch, but they have all the resources as far as when somebody would send in a donation, they would automatically do the thank you letter. They would handle all the bookkeeping, auditing, all that stuff. So that was a huge relief for us from just collecting donation standpoint, to make sure everything was transparent and up on the up and up. And again, parallel to that, I had found out about a program through UW Madison. The law school there has what's called the Legal and Entrepreneurial Clinic. And you submit an application, a written application on a nonprofit organization that you're either involved with or starting or what have you, and explain your mission and submit that. And if they like it, they'll respond back, which they did for us. And they asked me to put together a PowerPoint presentation electronically, and I submitted that. They liked that, and then they invited me in to speak to. It was like kind of like a Shark Tank scenario. There was a long desk, and there was like 12 different attorneys and Kickstarter type people, and so I got to re-explain our mission and where we wanted to go with this, and they loved it. They had a bunch of questions for me, and on my way home from Madison back to Pewaukee here, I got the phone call, and they said, "We love it. We want to help represent you pro bono for as long as you need us." And so
That's
it was
awesome.
like, oh my gosh, like, are you kidding me? Like, so now we got our, financial administrative part by a reputable, foundation backing us. We've got, UW Law, access to free lawyers at UW Law School. So these are, third year law students that are being supervised by, attorneys. So anything we're getting advised on is always coming, from a brand new law student, or I should say a law student that's completing everything, but also their seasoned veteran attorney. So we were getting really great perspectives on things, and we had all the different things from real estate to nonprofit to insurance, all those different questions that, it would have cost us $100 every time we pick up the phone call. Like, how do you justify that to your donors when you're just starting out that we can't buy hot dogs, but we got, we figured out a question for our insurance, liability. So just those things were just really exciting for us. And so those two pillars really set us up in a position to continue to focusing on outreach, to connecting to the veteran and first responder population, and our brothers and our sisters who we were hanging out with, or new veterans that were going through some of the programs. And by this time coming into 2018, we're doing ice fishing events, we're doing kayak fishing events, and our foundation really was in kayak fishing, in paddle sports, and so that's always been and will be close to our heart, just because of the nature of that activity. I think being so close to the water, being quiet, being the captain of your own ship, being in a group of people but still being alone, all those things I mentioned before. So we're doing all these things along the way, and we're getting everything set up. And the legal team helped us put together our 501c3 paperwork. We got that authorization, and so now we're this official 501c3. We're not just collecting donations for the foundation anymore. They put all those dollars back into our control, and we have our own board now. We have an entire staff of people that have been great, and for up until this year, I'd made a promise to my team that I was never going to take a salary, and we wouldn't have anybody paid on our staff until we started receiving either state or federal support. And we were fortunate enough this year to receive a substantial grant from the WDVA, Wisconsin Department of Veterans Administration, to help us expand our program. So, I mean, we had literally been working and doing our job for the VA for 5 years now. So it was a very incredible moment to be recognized in that manner, that they weren't just taking advantage of us wanting to help out our fellow veterans, but we're now going to actually put their money where their mouth is. And so we've been able to expand our staff and expand our outreach as a result of that. We've got a robust internship program that we're working with schools and also just individual veterans, helping them understand the process of if they want to start a 501c3, or just how we're doing what we're doing. I mean, we're essentially an outfitter as well, and just all the business elements. And what a lot of people don't realize is that a 501c3, it's a corporation, it's a business first, that just happens to have a certain tax break on it, but it's got all the elements of a regular business. You have to do all the same things. So there's a lot to learn on that yet, but we've got a great team that helps us do all that. And so we're at this position now where we've looked back, and 2019 came, and we had at the end of 2018 we had a really unique opportunity, and this references the video that you just saw. there was a Marine in, he was just getting out of the Marine Corps. He was out in Oceanside, California, which is right by Camp Pendleton, which is a large Marine Corps base. And he had been following us. He's from Plymouth, Wisconsin, Kyle, and he said, I've been following you guys, and I wanted to nominate you for this Milwaukee Bucks Award that's called, and the USO called the Everyday Hero. And I said, that's great. Thank you. We appreciate it. And we looked into it, and it looked like you could only nominate an individual. And so Jason, being the first person that I really talked to about, or actually fished with in a kayak, I said, you know what, I'd really like to nominate Jason. He's the president of our board. He's a former federal agent, former police officer, former Air Force veteran, stay-at-home dad now. He's had some medical things that held him back from pursuing his federal career. And so I'd really like to nominate him. We nominate him. The Bucks called us back within 24 hours, said we want him to be the first one that we're going to award. And this is awesome. December of 2018, right when the Bucks were on their tear. And so they had Jason and his wife, who's also a police officer, and their two little girls out center court, and they got awesome seats, and they really got treated well. Jockey sponsored it, so they got free underwear out of it.
I mean,
at this age, underwear and socks, man, they're like gold.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so, but the cool part of what, that was cool in and of itself. And the Bucks gave my wife and I tickets to come along and be a part of that, which was really neat. But in the crowd that night was the marketing director for that property that you just saw in our video down in Lake Geneva called Lakewood. And this marketing gentleman saw us. The narrative that I had written up about Jason included about how he and I and Rob had started Wisconsin Hero Outdoors and our mission, what we're doing. And he was impressed. And so he sent me this really cryptic email the next day saying, hey, we might have some assets in Lake Geneva that you'd like to take a look at. And, as we've grown and we get a little bit more recognition, I get more and more of those kinds of emails. So he kind of have to filter through them. But
sure.
Jason and I said, let's, our spidey senses are up. But we went and met with him, and he laid out the map of the property, and it's a 336 acre private property with a horse farm, a private 75-acre lake, private 18-hole golf course, and it's right in Lake Geneva, which is only about 50 minutes away from us. And he said the gentleman that owns this property was going to subdivide it out and create a kind of a private community, but instead he was inspired by some of the different things that are going on for connecting veterans to the outdoors. And for the past 2 years, he's been looking for an organization to come in and basically help manage and facilitate bringing veterans and first responders onto his property where they can enjoy his property, because he's there by himself. He's got this huge mansion, which you can see in the background of a lot of those shots. And so we were like, holy cow. And of course, with our backgrounds, we're like, this is, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Like,
right.
Sucker punch coming from, what's the catch? What are the do's? And, or, sometimes people just want to stick the "We Serve Veterans" sticker on their whatever their private endeavor is. And
sure.
So we went in guarded, but we met with Dan McLean and his team a couple times, and we right when I walked into their clubhouse, it overlooks the lake, and the very first question I asked him was, "Is that thing stocked?" And he goes, "I think I might be talking to the right guy here," because he's, for the past 2 years, one of the other questions I had asked him is, why are you talking to us? We know we're doing the right thing and a good thing, but there are certainly other organizations out there that are national or bigger, or maybe have more, bigger bank accounts or whatever to do something. And he said, we've talked to all of them, and there's way too much red tape, and we've been following your mission, and we like how you're shooting for developing the personal relationships with the veterans and first responders that you're taking out. It's not just a butts in seats type of deal where we've got a report that we serve 5,000 veterans a year or something like that. It's about trying to find that balance of quantity and quality, because we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of like 45 kayaks throughout the state of Wisconsin right now, just in the kayak. So yeah, we could have 45 kayaks at an event and look like we're storming the beaches of Normandy, but like, how fun is, that's not going to be very fun for the individual that's looking to just maybe grab a sandwich, grab a rod and go out to the middle of the lake and take a nap or something, if that's what they want to do that day. So, so in any case, we ended up forming that official relationship with Dan and his team down at Lakewood. And so we do at least a couple events out there a month, all year round. We've had the VA photography club come out, and they've taken photographs out there and have actually won awards. We've got the horses out there. And then one of the really neat things that has happened as a result of that was in 2020, as we were ramping up our schedule for this past summer and being all excited for everything, obviously we got hit by COVID, and like a lot of nonprofits, we didn't know what to expect from, were our sponsors going to drop because of their own financial issues, were individual donors, were we going to have access to the same places that, with parks shutting down and, the craziness of all that. We got nervous, but fortunately, one of the very few things that was allowed was kayak fishing. And so we were perfectly positioned for that. And very quickly, people understood that mental health was just as much of a game changer during this pandemic as the physical aspect itself. And for veterans specifically, one of the things that they tell you in treatment, and they do in counseling sessions as a first responder too, and I can attest to that, is that you're not supposed to isolate. And we now have direct orders to isolate. So it's like, oh my goodness. So trying to figure out how we can get at least a few groups of people together and still stay within the guidelines. We had to work through all that like everybody else did with the changes, but we were still able to do that. We did smaller groups just more often. We adjusted our schedules, and we did things that way. But one of the big things that happened for us in late spring, early summer of 2020 was the National Guard reached out to us, and their command was developing these two task force. One of them was Joint Task Force Delta, and the other one was Joint Task Force 64. And these are the COVID response teams that basically the medical staff from all the different National Guard units, all your different units are going to have varying degrees of like nuclear, biological, chemical, medics, different things like that, actual doctors. And so between the Air Force and the Army, all of these certain MOSs, these military occupational specialties, these individuals were getting pulled together, and these COVID task force response teams were getting created. So these are soldiers and airmen who weren't used to training or serving together, that were now thrust into these jobs and now serving in their own backyard and being pulled away from their families and being stuck in hotels or wherever their quote unquote barracks were going to be. And they had to go to work, and they're trying to deal with this pandemic. They're human beings too, and the same unknown factor that we have to. And so when the National Guard reached out and said, listen, we've created these units, and after the first couple of weeks, we're starting to realize the impact that it's having on them, and we need to do something about our morale and wellness. And each unit has a morale, wellness, recreation program, or usually an NCO that's staffed with or tasked with making sure that morale is up. And that's not always easy, especially if your own morale is down. But when we got that call, we said, absolutely, we'll figure this out. And so one of the first events that we did with them was at Lakewood, where you saw in that video, where we had, I believe, about 30 soldiers from Joint Task Force 64 come out, and they came in some of their military vehicles. They came in some of their POVs, their personally operated vehicles, and they got out, and everybody had masks on and everything like that. Once we were able to figure out the kind of the social distancing thing, we had all of our kayaks set up on the beach. We had our lunch spread out on tables, and oh my gosh, we've been used to working with veterans who are either at the VA for treatment. A lot of us have varying degrees of disability ratings or service connected disabilities. And so, we're typically not jumping out of our kayaks. We're trying to avoid that.
Sure.
We tell our insurance company that we're avoiding that kind of stuff. And, but man, these are soldiers who have been kind of pent up and wearing all this, and this is in the middle of the summer when we had some of those hot 90-degree, just crazy hot days. And they're wearing these, their full gear. And so they just, it was like being a summer camp counselor again. It was just incredible. They got out there. We paddled a kayak out to the middle of the lake, put a bunch of waters on it, and they were paddling around, jumping off the kayaks, making barges, and they were fishing too. And it was just really cool. And we knew that we were going to be able to help fulfill that mission long term for the National Guard. So we started working really closely with command and started doing those more on a regular basis to the point where we even just started when some of the units got condensed and got stationed down at Miller Park. We would just make pulled pork and drive it down in crock pots and feed them because awesome. They didn't have access to just leave whenever they wanted. So, we deviated from the primary mission a little bit for that, but it was just one of those unique things where I made the call and we're just doing what we can do to help out. And as I was mentioning you guys before the show, we had a group from Beaver Dam that was comprised of military nurses and medics and things like that. A lot of them had been flown in from other units around the country, most of them down south, where they'd never seen snow, let alone be on a frozen lake, and let alone catch a fish through a frozen lake. So it was seeing the pictures from that was they looked like they'd just seen an alien or landed on the moon themselves. So those are just incredible experiences where, we've got enough of a big group where we still got that camaraderie, but we're really still able to have those one-on-one conversations like, hey, how you doing? And that kind of thing. And especially with the National Guard, you're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old sometimes. And, if your intent was to do your 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year and get some college benefits, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into either a deployment overseas or a deployment overseas, and then you come back and now you're deployed in your own backyard for a pandemic.
Yeah,
it's a mind twist. It's a mind twist. And, people say that, well, it's just kayak fishing or it's just ice fishing or it's just, snowshoeing, whatever. But when you get out and actually do it and you're doing it with people that, have been going through the same crap that you have, you can at least there's no silver bullet to anything. Let me just make, I think we all know that, but we can help be a part of taking those baby steps. And that was really one of our key goals in the relationship with not only the National Guard here now, but the VA is that, we've all had certain experiences with the VA that have been either good, bad, or really bad or indifferent. And, people at civilian hospitals have the same type of stuff they have to deal with. And,
sure.
Jason and Rob and I made a very conscious decision at the beginning where, we could either be a part of the problem and just complain about stuff.
Be part of the solution.
Exactly. And so we wanted to help bridge that gap between the VA and, our community, based support, I guess. And what's been really cool about that is, I was just on a conference call with the top mental health doctors from the VA, and they've taken a very strong approach about connecting not only with organizations like ours, but with dozens of other communities where it's not just them waiting for these nonprofits to figure out how to get through the red tape of the VA to work with rec therapy or physical therapy or whatever, mental health. They're engaging the community now, which has been an awesome turn. So,
heck yeah, man.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we've come from and, where we're at now. So I guess if you guys have any questions, I can tell you some of the stuff we got coming up. too. But like I said, you might have to turn off my Energizer Bunny batteries when I get going.
Good, man.
I get fired up.
Well, it shows how passionate you are about what you're doing, dude, which is super huge. I mean, I commend you for that. I mean, I know, it's not easy for the folks that you're helping out to talk to an average Joe like me or Jay. There's that bond that you guys have, through experiences you guys have all shared, where you guys relate better, I would think. And it's huge to have that, you know what I mean? I got friends too that it had served, and, they just, when I try to approach them, me being non-military service, it's not as easy to talk to me about it, but I've seen them talk to friends, that have experienced that stuff, and it's easier for them to open up, which is huge. That you got brothers out there and sisters that you can count on and go to and have confidence in, I think, really, which is super huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on something too, and that camaraderie factor is really important. But we also realized too, and it was first brought to my attention, one of the rec therapists at the VA. She's not a veteran, but day in and day out, she deals with some of the most challenging situations that veterans are going through, from losing their house or being homeless or substance abuse, you name it. And she just had a way with communicating that really impressed me. And it really made me think, because there are some organizations, and we didn't know which direction we wanted to go, but that are only have veterans either running it or participating in it, or veterans and first responders, vice versa. And it really made me think, are we shutting the door? We have all taken an oath to, protect this country and protect the people in it and protect the community, to even give our life if we have to. We wrote a blank check to Uncle Sam to do that. And so when Jason and Rob and I were talking, we thought, it's crazy for us to close the door on allowing, civilians to work with us or to participate as far as volunteers and helping out where they can. Now, granted, our focus is always going to be on prioritizing vets and first responders. But, Tammy, who emails some of these pictures over, she's our development director. She's my right-hand person. Rob is my operations director, my left-hand man. And Tammy's one of the most passionate, patriotic individuals I've ever met, and has donated more time in the past 2 years to our organization than some veterans have in the entire 5 years, 6 years we've been in existence now. So, we very much love having, non-veteran, non-military or non-first responders volunteer with us or help us with fundraisers. And I'll tell you what, they get more out of it than sometimes even us as veterans do. Just seeing that camaraderie, seeing those connections live happening. It makes them appreciate their freedom. It makes them appreciate the things that they have more. And it also makes them think about the people in their own lives who have served or are serving, either at the community level or the national level, and how they can talk to them and start those conversations that maybe they've been avoiding. And so we've seen some real good grassroots things happen as a result of this. And some of the veterans that started out actually participating through these really intense programs like the DOM, the inpatient mental health rehabilitation program, started out, literally at rock bottom. And then as they participated in a few events, graduated or completed those programs and those rehabilitation sessions, are now active leadership with us. So it's been one of the things that we had no intention on happening was, this long-term effect of people healing and rehabilitating, and us being a part of that process for them long-term. We just thought it would be, hey, come out fishing. You want to come fishing? That's great. But, then all of a sudden, that fire that I found as far as being able to give back to my brothers and my sisters, they were finding that too. And we're like, wow, we can't we don't want to deny that part of the healing process. So it's almost like we got to grow, we got to grow. And as a result, we went from our little kind of neck of the woods in southeastern Wisconsin to now we've got 5, different regions that we have area program coordinators. And, just this past year alone, we've served well over 500 veterans, first responders, and family members. And I think we're on track for sure. I just got an email right before I got on with you guys that the National Guard has got 13 teams of 5 COVID task force responders that want to go ice fishing. So
Wow,
we got like 3 weeks of ice left, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna make it happen. So we're on track for bigger numbers. And like I said, it's not about butts and seats for us, but as we grow, as our leadership grows, we can still make sure to have that personal connection. And I'm thrilled. I'm excited. I told you guys before we got started, I'm tired as heck today. We got a big sturgeon event on Winnebago this weekend that we're prepping for. We're out cutting holes already.
Nice.
It's but I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing, and I feel very, very blessed and thankful for it.
That's awesome, man. I stand corrected. At the beginning of the show, I had mentioned that Brad, who does our Feather and Fur podcast, which is about hunting and stuff. And if you guys haven't heard that, be sure to tune in Saturday for his episode. But I thought he was military, and I was totally wrong. And he corrected me, and he said he just gives back to those who did. And I was totally wrong on that. So I apologize. I stood corrected. But, that's the thing. I have conversations with Brad all the time, and he's like, man, I'm doing this, with this organization. And Brad's been so awesome at doing all that volunteer stuff. And I know he gets a ton of satisfaction out of it, just helping, you know what I mean? Which is huge. But real quick, we got to give a shout out to this segment's sponsor, Athletic Brewing Company, non-alcoholic beer.
Yes, sir.
Tastes like real beer. Brew without compromise. You can get it athleticbrewing.com. Use promo code PNF20. You'll save 20% if you order more than 2 6-packs. Free shipping. And they have the 2 for the Trails program. They give 2% of all sales back to restoring local trails. Let's get another opinion on this, Mr. Skinner. How you liking that Athletic Brewing?
Jay was right. You really can't tell the difference.
Turn off your sound.
Yeah, you're getting some feedback. We got to take Jimmy out. Technical difficulties. Yeah. Jimmy Skinner's in the house tonight from Alabama. So
yes, sir.
But that's why I tapped you, because I was going to throw him in there when he wasn't paying attention, because he was like in depth listening to Eric. I was going to catch him off guard, but that's cool, man. So you got the spearing event coming up. What else you guys got planned coming up and for 2021? And not only that, but if there's a veteran out there that's listening on the podcast platform or watching now, how could they reach out to you guys to maybe partake in some of these events if this is something that they're interested in doing? Or if somebody's watching that would like to come help and volunteer you guys if you needed it, like how would they reach out as well?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'm glad that you brought that up. The easiest way, honestly, is to Google us, Wisconsin Hero Outdoors. And if you go to our website, we've got a contact us or get involved tab on there where you can just fill in your personal information. You can tell us as much or as little as you want about, what's going on with you, why you want to either participate or volunteer. And, it really helps if you let us know where you live, because then we can get you connected directly to one of our program coordinators that's closest to you. If you don't, I usually will have our ops director or one of our other guys. He'll just reach out to you personally. We'll make a personal touch to talk to you and find out what's going on. And, like me, I didn't really want to have a touchy-feely conversation, so that's not about that. But if you want to get connected. We'll at least keep you posted on stuff. And if there's something that, if you want to go bow fishing and you have no interest of freezing your butt off on the ice, hey, we can make that happen. Just Google us, WisconsinHeroOutdoors.org, and we'll be happy to get back to you on that. And as far as upcoming events, I think it was at the end of that video too, if you guys share that link or whatever. But as far as upcoming things, we've got sturgeon spearing coming up on Winnebago on Saturday, which is a big one. We've got we've probably got about 6 to 7 more ice fishing events. And just kind of a little bit of a disclaimer on some of our events. A lot of them are if we're basically outfitting or working with a specific organization like the VA or the National Guard. Those are not open to the public. However, if you're a veteran or a first responder or a civilian, whoever, if you want to help volunteer, at least let us, get on our contact list. And if we need some help with something, we can let you know. But generally speaking, we have to keep those numbers pretty tight as far as staff and personnel to make sure that those events go according to some of the agreements that we have with them. But all the other events that we have, we put them up on our calendar. Again, that's at WisconsinHeroOutdoors.org, and our calendar. Every single event will have the instructions on how to register for it, any paperwork needed. For example, in spring, we'll have a program that we piloted a year and a half ago, and it got shut down because of COVID, but we're bringing it back. Discover Hero Diving, where we can get, if you're interested in just learning about scuba diving, we coordinate with the St. John's Military Academy and the YMCA's. We bring out all of our scuba gear and we'll get you in the pool. We've got PADI instructor certified PADI instructors, dive masters, master divers, and we'll get you in the gear in the pool and teach you how all that stuff works. It's free, 100% free, and it lets you try out scuba diving. And if you really like it, we have programs that will get you involved into the open water, advanced open water, rescue diver, all that kind of stuff, all the way up to instructor if you really want to take it that far.
That's cool.
And then this year we'll also be doing a lot of conservation dives. So we'll pick a couple different lakes out where we'll pick trash up off the bottom of the lake, quite literally, and you find lures, and you find a lot of weird stuff. a lot of weird stuff. I could do a whole nother segment on stuff I found on the bottom of the lake, but
that's cool.
So we've got that. And so, for that, there's unique paperwork, health stuff that you got to get signed off. So every event's a little bit different. It's why we started this organization, and we didn't want to just be a one-trick pony. And so the best way to keep up with what we got going on is to pay attention to our Facebook page. We're always blasting on what we got going on there, and then also our calendar. Again, there's over 365,000 veterans in the state of Wisconsin alone. That doesn't include active military, reservist, National Guard, any of our first responders, currently working as first responders or retired. So there's a lot of people to serve. And so we want to do whatever we can to get as many as possible. I think that's probably one of the most difficult things about my job, our job right now is just, it's a huge amount of people to serve, and all of us with our passion want to be able to do it. But we also want to maintain the integrity of our events and make sure that we're not just putting on a circus.
Sure.
We're really, like Brad does a great job. He just took a group out fishing, ice fishing for us. I think it was last weekend on one of those really, really cold days. I know he took the time to instruct and teach and make people feel comfortable who had never ice fished before from the Madison Vet Center, and have a good time. Whether they do it again or not, that's up to them. But they went home with, some knowledge, and it wasn't just, do everything for me. And, one of the big things that we recognize as veterans and first responders, it's hard for us to ask for help. So like for me to want to get involved in an event, I don't want to get there and like have you tie my bobber. Like if
Sure.
we're gonna attract outdoorsmen and outdoorswomen type of people that probably know how to do this kind of stuff. So really, we're there to just create the platform, provide the equipment, provide guidance, safety as needed, and then let you do your thing, and really and be there if we need to. I mean, some of the conversations we have out on the water are, how did you get your VA mortgage working? How does that work? Or how did you get your education benefits? Or, what's a good divorce attorney? Things like, hey, don't necessarily want that conversation. Hey, I'd rather have that conversation than somebody just sit and wallow, by themselves and be stuck, and we're not counselors. We're not doctors. We don't claim to be it, but one of the cool things that the VA has offered for us now is some formal training for some of our leadership to at least, most of us can recognize some of the warning signs, but just to help kind of shore up the things that we need to do, and just be the best resource that we can be, and more importantly, help connect the veteran or the first responder to the resources that they need. And we love that aspect of our mission as well, being that, if we can't do it, we're sure as heck going to get you connected to somebody who can. Like early on, we didn't do turkey hunts or really any hunting because of the liability factors and just all the resources that took. And so we worked really closely with a group called United Special Sportsmen's Alliance, who originally started working with children with disabilities and creating these really incredible hunts and fishing opportunities. And they branched into working with veterans. And sometimes they just had difficulty getting veterans to attend, and they didn't know why. And part of it was that there was no real warm handshake or pass off. There it was just like put a Facebook post out, see who signs up, and most veteran first responders, it's that day of, you're going, I don't know anybody there. What am I getting into? I don't know anybody who's ever done this before. I don't, what, it's better to, I'm just going to stay home rather than risk it, so we love being able to be that connector to other programs. So it's one of the other reasons that we started this organization is that we understand that we're not the silver bullet, and we want to be a part of the bigger picture, part of the bigger veteran and first responder picture, that we don't want to have our blinders on that it's our way or the highway. If we can't do it, or there's a better way to do it, we're either going to partner with you, refer people, and just make sure that veteran and that first responder and their family are served and connected to the outdoors.
That's awesome, brother. If somebody wants to, we're picking up on Jimmy's mic. Sorry, man. If somebody wanted to donate to help out the organization, could they go to the website and do that, or reach out to you? How does that work?
Yeah, there's a variety of different ways, but the easiest, again, is just to go to the website. There's a donate now button. And when you donate on there, you can either do a reoccurring donation of, $20 a month, or you can do a one lump sum. And if there's, individuals that are listening now, or organizations or companies that are interested in sponsorship opportunities, we have several very large fundraising events that occur throughout the year. Working with Hardwater Freaks, working with Wisconsin Association of Bass Tournament Anglers, WABTA, and we'll be working with some walleye groups here this year for the first time. So we've got a number of very, very large events that we put on, so that we're always looking for additional sponsors and people that want to help out. And if that's the case, you can go to our website. My email's on there. You can contact myself or Tammy, and we'll be happy to start that conversation with you.
Very cool, man.
Nice.
Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, thanks for your time today. A lot of good information out there. If you're a veteran, first responder, somebody out there that really, needs to reach out, or just wants to hang out with some like-minded people that are, from your background, or maybe not even that, maybe just to have some company and to do something new and exciting, definitely check out Wisconsin Hero Outdoors, because I mean, it's pretty amazing. I've been through their website and I've seen some of the stuff they're doing. There's a lot going on. I mean, and this is the perfect opportunity to really get out there and try something and have somebody there to teach you, take you under their wing. Because that's, and that's probably the scariest part about it is like, you want to try something new, you don't know how to do it. And you got to find, it's better to have somebody there that knows what they're doing and to kind of just like, give you the tools and, give you some, little bit of knowledge and then send you on your way. And you can, do it on your own accord or, hang with a group of people. I mean, as kayak fishermen, we understand this completely. And in like now in the times we live in, it's, we've been doing this forever and it's like, we're still getting out there and you have peace of mind and, you that connection with nature and being able just kind of, to able to absorb your surroundings and relax. And it's not always about fishing. It's just about being there. If you're doing the kayak fishing thing, if you're out in the forest, it's about being there. This is therapy that's widely overlooked. Because as a human, a lot of people are city people these days, they don't realize that there's a connection to nature that we all need. And when you put yourself in nature and you just kind of slow things down, just kind of sit there and listen, your anxiety comes down, your mind clears, all the bigger things that are going on around you usually don't make, they're not so impactful at that moment. You get some clarity. I mean, even by sitting by like a river, like listening to water, just, babble down, through the rocks and just, that the solitude, I mean, there's just a lot that you can get from nature that people just overlook is what it is. And if you have the chance to go do it, I would definitely do it, and I would even extend us out there. Like if there's any veterans out there, reach out to us at Paddle and Fin too, and we can point you in that direction. Or maybe somebody in your area. I'm sure we can find a way to, to get you connected with somebody or even us, It's like either way, it's like, there's a lot of good programs, a lot of good people out there that by and large want to help. They want to see you, feel good about yourself. So don't deprive yourself of that if the opportunity is there.
Well said.
That's Jay preaching. Amen, brother. Amen. Yeah. Preach on, brother. Preach on. I love it. No, man, Eric, thank you so much. And everybody listening and watching at home, reach out if you need to. Don't feel like you're alone. There's plenty of good people in the world that you can talk to, and especially if you're a veteran, first responder. And just want to give a shout out to all veterans, all first responders. Mm-hmm. We appreciate you here from Paddle and Fin.
Yeah, we honestly do. We do.
Except Brad. Brad's not.
Except Brad, because he's not. But I mean, I got family who are cops. I've got family that have been in the military.
Yep.
I mean, I did 3 years of junior ROTC. Does that count?
What
I got
hell
close.
happened to you?
I don't know. I started traveling. It's like I don't have any excuses. But no, I mean, all jokes aside, all you people out there that are risking it all and
absolutely,
and helping people, you're the best people in the world. You just simply are.
Amen. Right on. Well, I think that's a good closing note. Be sure to look up Wisconsin Heroes Outdoors. Reach out to Eric if you got questions, or just go straight to their website. Eric, hang tight real quick. With that being said, boys and girls, tight lines, smooth paddling. Peace. Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in Northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jigmasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com